Do over. VFE Merman. And it takes what is so great about the Klon and kind of VFEs it. I think that's even what he used in the thing, right? Something like that. Well, so the original Klon had 3 controls. What the VFE one does is break it apart and has a little bit more control. So with the Klon, when you turn up the gain, it was actually blending together your clean signal and the dirty signal. And this does that, but a little bit differently. So to get right into this thing, because there's so much to cover, there's the level, which is self-explanatory. It's just the output level. The drive, again, it sets the gain of the drive path. Because remember, there's 2 paths now that are kind of coming together. And now this compression knob works in conjunction with that drive circuit, so you can kind of really tweak that around. And the higher that drive circuit's set, the more that knob has to do. And then your treble is just, it's a boost or cut of the treble. So right now I have it really boosted, and we'll kind of go through that. You can make it a little bit darker or brighter, which I have it set pretty bright. And then your warm sets the control of the clean signal pathway. It adds a small amount of dynamic body back to the tone. This control was tied to the setting of the drive channel in the original circuit. The treble response and maximum volume of the section is set by the internal attack trim pot. Now I'm going to show a picture up here, which is the VFE, right? The standard 2 boards. There's the audio board and the switching board. On the audio board, there's an attack trim pot, which I have set halfway. I just kept it stock halfway so you guys know for what we're doing here. Now the bottom controls the volume of the pathway that passes through the very bottom end of the guitar. This control can add a clean punch even when the drive is cranked, and it's wired, I think, in reverse, like how most people would. When it's cranked, you'd think, oh, there'd be more bass, but it actually decreases the bass as you turn it up. Into that. This is hand painted, okay? So this is a bare enclosure. I airbrushed it this really neat blue, and then I painted a merman on it, which I thought would be like a fish guy with a bow staff, because how else would you fight underwater? I don't know if guns even work underwater. I'm very stupid. I'm not a very smart person. But what I do know is how to paint somewhat well, and this is one of my favorite paintings. I think it just turned out great. I really, really like it. Okay, so the build of it is pretty challenging, as a lot of these are. The components you're kind of stacking on the audio board are pretty tight together. The charge pump is on the board itself instead of in the charge pump of the power and switching section, like I always talk about in these videos. And there's just a lot to go through. They're not... you got to make sure you're ordering right parts for all these VFEs, but they're not terribly hard if you can read and follow directions and really stick with it. But let's get into some core sounds here and kind of get out of here so I'm not boring you to death. Okay, so let's turn this bitch on and hear what she sounds like. I'm going to turn the drive all the way off. And actually, this is kind of how I usually like to use it. It's just more of a boost. And then let's do the treble. So now we're going to make it really dark. back the level and the treble. We'll kind of keep the treble right there, huh? Now let's fart around with this drive, because this is where I think it gets kind of interesting, because now we can start going drive half up, and then we're going to hear what the compression knob does. Fuck, does that sound good? Pardon my language. Alright, compression all the way up. Right there, if your mind didn't just get blown, when we have it fully compressed, actually the volume really comes down, but your sustain is obviously crazy increased. And you can hear there's a ton of drive here. I mean, there's a ton of gain on tap. I mean, I am already using a little bit gained up of an amp, but it sounds pretty good. Okay, so let's try this now. Let's turn up the bass, baby. See that? Sounds killer. And it's also good is because you can, I like it, you can, you know, strats, you can dial in more bass and you're not going to get that like really crispiness in them. Like if we were to do single coils, I'd maybe turn up a little bit of that bass. Alright, let's fart around with this warm control. Turn it all the way up now, back to that P90. I'm going to show you guys what I like to do here. So we're going from a dark amp sound, right? Which is, you know, it sounds cool. It's a nice dark sound. There we go. I mean, do I need to say more? I don't know. Sounds great. Hopefully I got through everything on there that you guys want to hear or see. It is a cool pedal, and